let's deal with the good, bad, and ugly. So I've got a bunch of notes over here so I can expand a little bit on these talking points. Good. Increase lean muscle mass. You're going to burn fat. Testosterone burns fat. Okay. One of the things a lot of guys notice if they come in at 6'2", 250 pounds, and they're carrying a lot of belly fat, they got maybe a little bit of man boobs and stuff like that. Like not even working out alone and just administering therapeutic dosages of testosterone will actually burn belly fat, believe it or not. So a lot of guys will notice that there's a reduction in like pear-shaped bodies if they're storing a lot of fat around their waist. And you'll naturally put on a little bit more muscle. Now, if you work out, I don't know why you would go on TRT and not lift weights. It's good there's no downside to lifting weights at all. It's all upside. It's good for your brain. It's good for your body. Having lean muscle tissue on your body is healthy. It's going to mean you've got a better immune system. You've got more bone density when you're on healthy levels of testosterone. It's cardioprotective. It's neuroprotective. You can also look at other compounds too. I know that there's clinics in the US which will also prescribe things like decadurabolin and anavar. Deca is a wonderful compound if you have bad joints. There's some downsides to it, so you've got to do your homework on it. You can end up with ED conditions if you're taking too much of it, or if your prolactin spikes. These are all things that you should learn about and ask your doctor about. But there's other compounds which they'll offer you as well, which aren't part of testosterone replacement therapy or bioidentical, but they can offer benefits. You can also go outside of it once you understand how this works and how administration and how dosaging works. And you can look at other useful compounds like primobolan. You may have a guy that does some home brewing that can hook you up with something. Those are things that you can consider that are outside of the standard protocol, which will potentially offer a better quality of life depending on what your goals and your objectives are. Back to the good. Improved libido, improved sexual function. You stay on top of frequent blood work. So all your health markers, prostate markers, blood lipids, white blood cell count, red blood cell counts, your hemoglobin, your hematocrit, all that stuff. Productivity goes up. Like I said earlier, I make more money. Testosterone makes effort feel good. Again, I'm going to echo what Huberman said. I totally agree. It's probably the best way to sum it up. The bad, needles for life. You're going to be poking your body with, if you're smart, that, not this, the freaking harpoon. This is what most places will give you, which will make it hard, annoying, lame, and frustrating. Get this, it makes it more easy. It's far easier to backfill and administer it every other day. It's a simple process, but you're going to be doing it for the rest of your life if you want to stay on it. Now, there's other ways to deliver it to your body. Like I said, there's pellets, which I don't think are a great idea. There's nasal sprays, which have quite a few downsides and are quite expensive. There's dissolving lozenges, you can put on your tongue. There's some problems with that, and they're more expensive. What else have they got? They got compounding creams and gels. The gels aren't the greatest ones, like the cookie cutter ones. If you have a pharmacy that can compound a cream at 200 milligrams per milliliter, Jay Campbell, I think he invented this protocol. I don't know, maybe not. But basically, he was on pins for his entire life since he started, since the basketball injury, and started to use compounding creams. And basically, he found that his levels stayed the same as therapeutic administration with needles with a compounded cream. The problem with that, though, is you have to administer the cream on your scrotum, which means you got to do manscaping on a regular basis, and you have to make sure that you're putting the cream on twice a day. So somewhat of an inconvenience because you got to walk around, commando style while the cream's getting absorbed through your scrotum. Apparently, that's the best place to put it. It's where you'll get the best ROI on it. So there's that downside of, you want to make sure that it absorbs before you put on clothing. You want to make sure it doesn't get on anybody. He did say that there's a bit of a bump in sexual function because of DHT. So because of the location and because of its cream, if you're having issues with libido, a cream might be more useful, a compounded cream. So there's that to consider as well. Back to the bad, following. So delivery methods, we talked about that. Diligent schedule, you got to follow it. I mean, if you take days off, you're not going to feel good. You've got to follow it to a T. It's like brushing your teeth, flossing your teeth. You can't take days off. You can, but you're not going to feel good. So you have to stick to the schedule. So I think it's really important that if you're going to do this, you know, you make it a habit. It's like at this time every day, or you do it while you're brushing your teeth, or after you're brushing your teeth, or after you shower, something like that. You just insert it into your schedule, and it's like 2 or 3 more minutes out of your day doing something that improves your quality of life. Your testicles will atrophy. So that's something that somebody brought up earlier about HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin. I started out just on testosterone, and by about week 3, my testes just started to hurt, like they were aching, and I'm like, what the hell? And I called the doctor's office, and he goes, yeah, they're starting to atrophy. He goes, it's totally normal. You know, the pain's going to go away after a while. It's going to be fine. And to be honest, I was like, no, this sucks. Give me the HCG. HCG is more expensive. It's about $180 per vial, and it lasts about as long as your testosterone. So it's a lot more expensive. And all that does is it makes sure that your body is still producing that your testicles still produce testosterone. So HCG, I'm going to screw up the entire pathway, obviously, because I'm not an expert on this, but there's receptors in your body. I think they're called LH receptors, or luteinizing hormone, or FH receptors. I might be butchering it, but they're all throughout your body. So one of the things that some guys notice when they just go on T is when that production disappears and those receptors don't get what they need, which you get with HCG, plus you get your own endogenous production, is they don't feel so good, or they don't have the same quality sex that they had, or because your testicles atrophy, because your testicles atrophy, how can I put this pleasantly? The volume is not as large as it used to be. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So there's that to consider. Personally, I feel better on T and HCG combined. That's what I use. So day 1 will be T, day 2 will be HCG, and then you just keep repeating. So every day there's a pin. Very simple, takes 2-3 minutes, not that big of a deal. HCG is very simple to administer. It's actually easier because it's water-based, so it's easier to push through the pin, and you can put it anywhere. It can go into belly fat, which is where I usually put it. So I usually do HCG in the belly fat, and I do the T shots into the ventral glute. If you want to know how to do that, just search how to inject in the ventral glute, and it shows you where the location is and how to do it. You'll find videos. Bad. Some guys experience more body hair and acne. I probably have a little bit more body hair. Maybe slightly more acne in the wintertime. In the summertime, I don't get any acne whatsoever in the summertime because I'm out in the sun, I'm on a boat, I'm swimming at the pool, whatever. All you need to do is apply some sunshine to your body and you don't get any acne. Okay. For some guys, they'll get really bad back knee, which is what they'll complain about, but it's probably because their dose is way too high. And, they're on the cookie cutter 200 milligram, script, which is way too high, causes huge bolus spikes. And then, they end up with all kinds of, side effects, which are not desirable. So doing smaller, regular dosages eliminates that problem completely, or it did for me anyway. Bad is cost. Shit's not free, but anything that's worthwhile is never free. There's always a cost associated to it. You want to eat quality food, it's going to cost you money. You want to eat organic vegetables, it's going to cost you slightly more money. So it's going to cost you more money. So like, what's the problem? You're a guy, you should be chasing excellence. You should be okay with that cost. Maybe you've got an insurance provider that will take care of it for you, but again, it's not free. Managing injection sites, some people are prone to post-injection pain or bruising. I've never had a problem with PIP or bruising myself. I've seen some guys complain about it. It's mostly because, again, it's a shitty protocol from their doctor's office. One of the common injection sites that I've seen a lot of guys get from the doctor's office is in their quads. And if you go stick an 1.5-inch needle into your quad, like picture an 1.5-inch needle into your quad, which by the way has a lot of nerve endings, and there's some big ass veins in there carrying a lot of blood to different parts of your body. If you hit one of those, you're going to hit the roof. So a lot of guys end up with problems like bruising or extreme pain just because the doctor's office says inject it into your quads. You can put it pretty much anywhere in your body. It doesn't have to be your quads or your glutes. There's multiple injection sites. I've seen guys say they'll do shoulder, pec, shoulder, and they'll just rotate that way, throughout the week. that may not be a plausible site for some people because they don't have pecs. Like you actually have to have muscle tissue on your chest, because if you don't have anything in your like birdcage sort of chest and it's just rib showing, you've got nothing to inject it to. So that's not a plausible site. So these are things that you have to manage. So I suppose it's one of the bad things, but just understand, you know, like it is what it is. Let's talk about the ugly. Other compounds. So I talked earlier about the introduction of other compounds like DECA, primobolan, anavar, stuff like that. They can be abused, misused, or faked. Okay, I'll be honest with you. I've been down to Mexico, and everything is over the counter there. You can go down to a pharmacy just outside of the resort. You can get Testosterone 250. You can get Decaderbalin. You can get Proviron. You can get pretty much everything under the sun. If it's got things like Bayer on it, you know it's actual pharmaceutical grade, but there's some there that could be faked. You don't know what you're getting dosed. Sometimes you can get out of hand and you're like, oh yeah, you know, all this shit's going on. Let's put some DECA and we'll mix in some of this. And it spikes your levels like way off the chart and you're not managing things properly. So sometimes part of the ugly can be you know, you're like, oh, well, this turns my life up to 11. So what happens if we add some of this and add a little bit of this and we turn this shit up to 17, right? You can run into problems if you don't know what you're doing. So I would encourage you guys, if you're going to apply other compounds or use it more for athletic purposes and results beyond just beyond therapeutic usages, you better know what you're doing. You could be tempted to do things that might ruin your health or your organs. So if you're using huge dosages because you think it's going to make you grow more muscle or, you know, for whatever reason, you can put your organs at risk. There's a reason why you see some of these bodybuilders that just drop dead, you know, at some point in their life. Who was it? Rich Piana, huge dude. He basically dropped dead when his girlfriend was giving him a haircut at like 43. Okay. But I mean, dude looked like he was 300 pounds. He's a freaking monster. You know, you can go look him up. Your organs can shut down. One of the studies that so let me talk about some really good resources. So I'd recommend that you guys take a look at a couple of different channels here. Actually, I'm not going to pull them up. So just make notes of this. A really good resource on YouTube is a channel called Vigorous Steve. He's a Dutch guy that lives in Thailand. Very, very smart dude. I've been watching him for a while. I contacted him recently, and I'm hopefully going to have him on for a Playing to Win very soon to talk about stuff like this in detail. Another channel is a guy called Leo and Longevity. And I don't know where he's located. He's got an interesting accent. I think he's Persian or Greek, maybe. I'm not sure. But you can check him out as well. He's not on T, and he prefers not to run it. He was a big-time power lifter and basically walked away from it. And he's very interested in what it can do and how he can help out his clients and stuff like that. Again, none of these guys are doctors, but it's like what they've made their life. And it's really interesting to see the level of commitment and time that they spend putting out videos, very well-researched videos on topics that anything from building muscle, losing fat, sexual function, cognitive function, protecting different organs in your body if you've got issues with them. Like one of the things that I came across was a study where they basically castrated rats, and they found that by lowering androgens in their body, so there's no testosterone production whatsoever, because when you castrate, you know, the gonads, and there's no testosterone production endogenously, organ health improved. So testosterone can shorten the life of your organs if you're abusing it. Your kidneys will last longer. So, you know, these are all things to consider when you go on TRT. I'm of the camp that you want to stay around the therapeutic dose. Maybe you might want to play with some other compounds. I've used primobolan, I've used DECA, I've used Proviron, I've used Testosterone 250. I've tried out a bunch of stuff, and I'll be honest with you, the juice ain't really worth the squeeze. I've never tried things like crazy compounds like trenbolone or what's some of the orals, which are very liver toxic. I can't even remember what they are, but I've stayed away from anything that's liver toxic. I've stayed mostly with either injectables or anything that's oral that's not liver toxic. So you have to be very careful. So you got to do your study. So that's one of the things you have to consider for the ugly. Most doctors, even TRT clinics, don't know what the hell they're doing. And I'll give you a very good example. There's a lab test, which is called EGFR. And if you have an athletic build like I do, and they want to test your kidney health, EGFR is the standard test which will test your kidney health. My lab started to come back saying that I was having kidney problems. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I've got a clean diet. Yes, I'm on TRT. Why is my EGFR, basically screwed up? And I came across this video, and here's another very good resource for you, which I'm gonna be honest with you, he's kind of transitioned his channel now. There's a guy named Derek from a channel called More Plates, More Dates. And most of his videos in the past were more like Vigorous Steve's. Now he's kind of gone more to the clickbaity stuff where he gets a lot more views, but it's not as useful as far as the data that you get. But a lot of his older videos, I came across one that was talking about kidney tests. And rather than using the EGFR, I use one called Cristatin C, which is a more accurate evaluation of your kidney health, especially if you have an athletic build. So these are all things that I didn't know myself. And had I relied on my doctor, I would have probably thought at the time that there was something wrong with my kidneys or they were going to fail or something like that. But following up and getting the information from a smart guy that knows what he's talking about, that takes actual research studies and presents it to his audience, I'm like, damn, that makes sense now. Okay, so I got some clarity on that. So these are all things that you've got to learn when you get into this. You really can't trust doctors. You've got to stay on top of everything. Ugly, there's a cost. It's not available in every country. I've got friends of mine around the world from my community that are in different countries, and like, it's not available. They will not prescribe it. They basically just say you're fine. One of the things that guys will get, so you're not going to get help from your doctor, from your family doctor. If you say, check my blood labs, let's see what my testosterone looks like. And if it comes back and it's like, if the range is 200 to 400 or something like that, and you're at 225, they're going to say, oh yeah, you're in normal ranges. But you could be 43, you're not getting morning wood anymore, you've got no libido, you're getting fat, your muscles wasting, you can't focus, you got a lot of brain fog. Even though, it says normal ranges, it's like, when kids can't slam dunk the basketball, all they do is they lower the net. And that's what they've done with testosterone levels over the years, because they really want you sick and weak as men in society. So most family doctors will be like, no, you're fine. You're in the normal ranges based on, what the charts say. Doesn't matter. If you feel like shit and you have all the symptoms of low T, I would say go to a testosterone replacement clinic. You have to Google it. Look up HRT, hormone replacement therapy. Look up TRT, testosterone replacement therapy. Look up TOT, testosterone optimization therapy. There's different language that they use in different parts of the world, but take control of it. If you're not feeling good and if your levels show, even though they might show in range, but you feel like shit and you're starting to notice some of the symptoms that I've just talked about, you got to take control of it. Go outside of your family doctor and find a clinic that can help you. Not available in every country. There's hemoglobin and hematocrit issues. So I got my dad on TRT about 2 years ago. He's 75 this year, I think, something like that. So he was about 73 when he started. And I was like, Dad, you got to try this out, man. It's great. Like, I feel amazing. I'm more productive. I got more energy. Like, I was going down. He's like, wow, that sounds really good. Okay, so hook me up. So I did. So I sent him over to my doctor. They scripted him, and he started doing the injections. Now, my dad, God bless his soul, is a bit of a lazy guy. So he would do the injections, but he would basically sit around all day watching TV, drinking a lot of tea. My dad's an old British guy, so he likes his tea and biscuits and shit like that, eating what he eats. He's on a lot of prescription meds because he had a bypass surgery about 15 or 20 years ago. He had a heart attack. I don't know, he's got like 4 or 5 different bottles of scripts and all this sort of stuff. And one of the things that starts to happen for some guys on TRT is your hemoglobin, your hematocrit starts to go up. Because what happens is you'll get more red blood cells when you've got healthy levels of testosterone in your body. And what that does is that thickens your blood. You don't want thick blood. You don't want viscous blood. So if you ever pick up a bottle of motor oil, like 20W50, you can feel it's like molasses. Okay. You don't want blood like that because it taxes your heart. You don't want your heart working too hard to push blood around your body. So there's a healthy range of hemoglobin and hematocrit. And one of the things that happens when you've got healthy levels of testosterone is it tends to climb up. You're carrying more red blood cells. You're carrying more oxygen in your body, which thickens your blood. Now, there's different things that you can do to manage that. I've learned that you can take grapefruit seed extract. Make sure you're properly hydrated, drinking lots of water. My dad drinks shitloads of tea, which is a diuretic, so he's peeing all the time, which means he's not gonna be properly hydrated. He doesn't move enough, He would go to the gym maybe like 2 or 3 days a week. But I'll tell you this, within about 6 or 7 months, he looked great. He had way more energy, great attitude. He was losing belly fat. I think he lost something like 15 pounds. He's about the same height as me, but he was about 225, and he lost a good amount of weight. His strength went up. He looked good, but his hemoglobin and his hematocrit started to climb, and his doctor got concerned. So he said, let's take a break for a bit. Let's get you off the team. Let's try some other different things. He never went back on it because he didn't want to do the things that were required to manage the hemoglobin and the hematocrit. One of the things that you can do is you can donate blood. So they'll take a pint of blood out of you. You give your alpha blood to somebody else that needs it, that's been in a car accident or something. Maybe you save a life, and it also thins out your blood. So I've had to donate blood from time to time. I don't need to do it so much anymore. It feels like my body sort of balanced itself out, so it's not that big of a deal for me. But blood donations, or what's called the therapeutic phlebotomy, which is basically they just drain some blood and they throw it in the garbage sort of thing. The best thing to do is to donate blood, because if you're on testosterone, you've got alpha, you got unplugged alpha blood in you. You donate it to somebody that's probably been in a car accident or going through a bypass surgery, and they get that, that high T healthy blood. So donating is a good way. It's basically a win-win, situation. It helps you out. It helps out somebody else. So that's a bit of a pain in the ass, though. Like going to donate blood maybe every 3 to 6 months or once a year. It's a bit of a pain in the ass. You got to schedule in. You got to do all their bullshit. They do the survey. They prick you. Then it takes like half hour, 45 minutes of your time. It's not particularly convenient, but it's part of life. If it's something that you have to manage, there's other ways to manage it too, which I already described, and you can do some more research on that.